I don't think I really need to explain what Stranger Things is. I think pretty much everyone knows about it nowadays. It's one of the biggest Netflix original series and actually has a second series about to come out within the next few weeks. When it first came out, I was recommended the show by a few people and sat down and watched it. I ended up finishing the show incredibly quickly because it's one of those shows that once you put it on, you must find out what happens next. The show, although isn't incredibly unique, mixes fantastic elements of loads of different things together to create an incredibly engaging and exciting throwback to sci-fi, adventure and horror movies from the 80s. Take the Twin Peaks way of unraveling a mystery with loads of people trying to unravel it in different ways, mix in the kids on bike adventure style of films like E.T. and the Goonies, and throw in the horror from Poltergeist, and then you have Stranger Things. I'm gonna try and talk about this show without spoiling it too much because it does take many twists and turns that are incredibly interesting. Although saying that, I'm pretty sure most people watching this video have probably already seen the show. The show starts off with a group of kids playing Dungeons and Dragons. They've finished their game and all go home. However, one of the boys, Will, finds himself being chased by something. When he gets home, there is no one else there and he gets captured by whatever it is that is chasing him. The show then revolves around loads of people trying to find and save him. There's Will's mum, Joyce, played by Winona Ryder, who starts to see weird supernatural things and believes that Will is trying to contact her from wherever he is. But of course, everyone else believes her to be crazy. There is a cop called Chief Jim Hopper, played by David Harbour. Jim is plagued by the memories of his daughter who died of cancer, leading him into drug and alcohol abuse, which subsequently ruined his relationship with his wife. Jim stops at nothing during the show to find Will and even plays a little dirty at times. There's also Will's friends, Mike, Lucas and Dustin, who while searching for him finds a girl called Eleven who is running away from something. She is running away from a group of people who for some reason are after her and even killed people just to get to her. The boys bring her to Mike's house and let her stay. However, they soon learn weird things about her, including that she has special powers which she can use to fight people, move things with her mind, and also contact people in an alternate universe. So they try to use Eleven to contact Will wherever he is and bring him home. Then there is Mike's sister, Nancy. Nancy has a subplot in the first few episodes where she has started dating a popular kid at school despite the fact she is considered to be a goody-goody perfect girl. One day she goes with her friend Barb to a party at the guy's house. However, when Barb wants to leave, she tells her to go home so she can go and sleep with the guy. But then Barb also disappears, so she starts to investigate where she's gone. She goes back to the guy's house and sees a faceless creature which scares her. Will's brother Jonathan actually happens to be taking photographs of them all that night from afar, which is then told to the group. However, after ripping up the pictures, Nancy notices a picture of Barb with a weird creature on the side. So the two then team up to investigate themselves. That is basically the tip of the iceberg of this show. There is so much more that happens that I don't want to talk about because I don't want to spoil the series. This show is in many ways if Steven Spielberg directed a Stephen King book. It has a perfect blend of mystery, horror and adventure. I love the way that over the different subplots the genre and general tone changes massively. Like the plot of The Kids is much more E.T. adventure-like, but with a Stand By Me edge and darkness to it. Unlike many of the films that it's obviously inspired by, there is a lot more danger added. Like you do actually fear for the safety of the kids and worry that something could actually happen. And honestly, for child actors, these actors are absolutely fantastic. Every single one of them gives a super solid performance, especially Millie Brown as Eleven. Her performance blew me away in this show. She doesn't speak a lot, especially not at first, so her performance is done mostly through facial expressions and she absolutely nails it. She constantly looks confused and intrigued by what's around her, but also scared. And this leads to some heart-wrenching scenes where her performance is seriously, genuinely breathtaking. And all the other kids are great too. Their performances all feel genuine. And this subplot does really have a fun and exciting feel to it if you're a fan of films such as E.T., The Goonies, and much more recently Super 8. Joyce and Jim's subplot is definitely much more psychological horror inspired. You constantly ask yourself whether what's happening is just what's happening in her head, and you always feel like there's a possibility that she's simply having a breakdown from losing her son. And Winona Ryder's performance is easily one of the best in the show. This is probably one of, if not the best performance that I've ever seen her do. She's constantly on edge and slowly seems to be losing it, which creates some incredibly gripping scenes scenes where you feel like she could completely snap or just lose it at any second. And Nancy and Jonathan's subplot is very much kind of like a sci-fi monster movie. I don't want to spoil anything about their subplot, but it's definitely where some of the scariest moments of the show come from. The show isn't the scariest thing I've seen in the world, but there are a few moments where I was genuinely on edge. Scenes that are incredibly tense and pretty creepy. The thing that makes this show so great is how well it's paced. With many shows there will be episodes or at least scenes where things seem to slow down a bit and it does get a bit boring. But this show is non-stop. It never has a dull or slow moment. And that is something that is so impressive. To be constantly fun and exciting the way it is pretty commendable. I also love how similar to the many of the films it's inspired by, they make it appropriate for wide audiences. Like, it's never too scary and doesn't have too many swear words that kids can't watch it. And across its 8 episodes, it's constantly fun and enjoyable. There's so much more I could say about it, but I don't want to spoil the show. I think it's one that people just need to go and watch because it's just such a great show. It's a hell of a lot of fun, incredibly addictive, and at times creepy. And I am so excited for the next series. I give Stranger Things Series 1 a 9.5 out of 10.